I'm going to do a quick presentation today. Well, it's not really a presentation. It's more like a rant. Just going to explain a couple things about how our country is being taken over by the Zionist infiltrators that have been planning this for centuries and now are finally getting within a couple of years of their goal. And we don't have much time, guys. And for those of you who don't believe in the statement that I just said, I'm just going to show you a couple things to maybe change your mind. And in future videos, I'm going to go way deeper into this subject than I am now. But here we go. Let's start. So 89% of our senators and Congress hold dual citizenship with Israel, which I'm not sure. I haven't verified this number myself, 89%. But I've seen two different sources that have stated 89%, so that's pretty interesting. And by the way, this list is the same pretty much as this list. But yeah, so around 90%. Maybe a little less, maybe a little more, maybe it's 95%, you know. Either way, it shouldn't be allowed. Let's go on to how much money we give Israel. So we've given Israel well over $300 billion. And the second line is Egypt. And you know what was really interesting to me was the United Kingdom. Why would the United Kingdom, one of the richest countries, not really country because it's made up of a couple countries, but one of the richest places in the world need our money? And why would Turkey need our money? Turkey is a very put-together country, okay? So is South Korea. South Korea is the most technologically advanced country in the world, but they need our money? Yeah, it's not adding up, guys. So $3.8 billion annually for Israel, which is absolutely disgraceful. Now we got AIPAC. AIPAC is basically the committee that pays all of our politicians to pass pro-Israel laws and give aid to Israel. Basically, they pay our politicians to pass the laws and the bills that Israel needs passed in order to get more aid, to get more money, to pay more politicians, to get more things passed for Israel. It's literally just a circle, just a revolving door of money that eventually it all comes back to military contractors. Pretty much, most of it at least. So most of the money gets funneled to military contractors in Israel and in the United States. But it all comes from our taxes, though. So our tax dollars go from our paychecks, taken out of our paychecks, to our politicians, to Israel, from Israel, to AIPAC, back to the politicians, back to Israel, then to the weapons manufacturers and military contractors. Then it's a revolving circle, okay, of money that goes back and forth. But it never stops siphoning money from us. The siphoning from us never stops. You guys remember this guy, Jeffrey Epstein? You know, the guy that had an island where they entrapped all of our politicians, had them fuck kids and videotaped it? Excuse my language, but that's what happened. Okay? So this guy which of late they're saying that didn't have a list of people and didn't have blackmail videos and so it's just ridiculous how they'll tell us for God knows how long that this guy has all these videos and this guy was freaking blackmailing all of our politicians and all of our, oligarchs and shit like that. Now they're denying it. But yeah, this guy was a Israeli intelligence agent who was sent here to run that island, to traffic people through his intelligence routes, to take our politicians, have them fuck kids, videotape it, use it against our politicians when money doesn't work. Because you can only pay for so much, and what you can't pay for, you blackmail for. Then whatever you can't get through those two means, you just start killing people's family members. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but Thomas Massey's wife died of really mysterious circumstances the other day. Just dropped dead. Really strange, But a lot of people don't realize that these intelligence agencies can make anyone, anywhere in the world just drop dead whenever they want. They have the technology to do that. And they don't even have to get close to you to kill you. They can send a powerful enough EMF wave through your house when you're alone and you're dead. It's that simple. And I'm going to do a future video on that as well. Now, Jeffrey Epstein, with no formal education at all, taught at the Dalton School in New York. It was private. It was a private school in New York City that he taught at. Which he probably hurt kids there, as well. This was the type of education that school taught. It was a type of education that basically looked at what the children were interested in and what they were good at to figure out the best way to further the education, which I agree with. I just thought that was really interesting. Aside from all the negative stuff I'm talking about, this was kind of a cool way, I thought, to educate children. So look more into this. It's basically what it's saying is the Montessori method of education is a type of educational method that involves children's natural interests and activities. Rather than formal teaching methods, a Montessori classroom places an emphasis on hands-on learning and developing real-world skills. It emphasizes independence and views children as naturally eager for knowledge and capable of initiating learning in a sufficiently supportive and well-prepared learning environment. Which I thought was pretty cool, aside from all the negativity that I'm talking about right now. That's a pretty cool method of teaching children, which should be brought to many more schools around the country. But anyhow, what really sucks though is, you got a school that has a really good way of teaching children. Then you have scumbags like Jeffrey Epstein and, sorry about this ad, but this lady here too, this English teacher. Well, I don't know if it was, what was it, a lady or a man? I forgot. But this is another teacher who had sexual allegations against him or her at that same school, so that's just really sad. This was the lady who founded the school, Helen Parker. So I was just going down a rabbit hole with that school, so I figured I'd learn as much as I can about it. Now, we're going to go on to genocide. So the Zionists like to claim that the genocide, destroyed their culture and killed so many of them and really affected their race and all this nonsense. Which I highly doubt that genocide really even happened the way they say it did. So who invented the gas chamber? Now, it wasn't the Nazis like people think. It was actually an American, Alan McLean Hamilton. He was a really interesting guy, and we'll get into why in a minute. But he first executed on February 8th, 1924, Guy John, that was the only name they gave, was put to death using cyanide gas. So Alexander Hamilton, one of the founding fathers of the United States, which was also a Freemason, was his great-grandfather. Okay? So, yeah, they're not random. Not random. These Freemason bloodlines, well, they're not really Freemason bloodlines, but these bloodlines run deep. And it's always, everybody who is causing chaos today can be traced back to the people who caused chaos 300 years ago. They're all the same families. Now, who first used the mobile gas chamber in Russia during the Bolshevik Revolution? That's the question that I want to show you the answer to. Hold up. So basically in 1937 was when the first gas van was used by the Bolshevik secret police. So, while primarily associated with Nazi Germany, which we're talking about gas chambers still, during the Holocaust, evidence suggests that mobile gas fans were also used by the Bolsheviks, specifically the Soviet secret police, the NKVD, during the Great Purge in the late 1930s. Alright? This was a picture of the gas van right here. So this was the van that the secret police of the Bolsheviks used to gas people before the Holocaust. And you know who the Bolsheviks were? They were of Jewish descent, by the way. Karl Marx, the guy who invented communism, was of Jewish ancestry. Lenin was also of Jewish ancestry, even though his dad was a Turk, but I don't think he was Turkic. I think he was Khazarian. So I think he had a Jewish mother and Khazarian father, made a Jewish kid who turned out to be Lenin, pretty much. Now, who were the worst victims of the Second World War? Soviet Union, estimated between 20 and 27 million deaths of military and civilian alike. China, estimated casualty ranges from 15 to 20 million, which is really more of 30 million from other sources. So the Soviet Union and China lost the same amount of people pretty much. Germany lost 6 million or more. Poland 6 million. Japan about 3 million. You know, Indonesia 3 to 4. Yugoslavia 1 to 2 million. French Indochina 1 to 2 million. French Indochina, kind of a funny name, right? You know, why are the French in China? France, about 600,000. So who's the real victims of World War II, guys? I mean, you tell me. And this was just explaining how the Chinese died, how the Chinese civilians died from famine and disease and from Japanese crimes, war crimes. Excuse me, sorry, it's just late at night. I'm having a hard time getting the words out. My bad, guys. And you know, this was really interesting. I was just trying to figure this out, you know. Why do we only learn about the Holocaust in school and the Chinese and Russians lost more people? I have not had AI say this. An AI overview is not available for this search. I've never had AI do that to me, ever. So it's either they don't want to say it, they don't want to admit it, or they just don't have the answer. Which I highly doubt they don't have the answer. They know why we learned about just the Holocaust. And this was just, you know, pictures of the vans, the gas vans, things like that. So now I want to go into the genocide the Zionists are carrying out today. So you guys remember how Israel on October 7th was claiming self-defense? Alright? I don't know who in the world, when they're defending themselves, obliterates miles of buildings, square miles of buildings. So, you know, if I'm defending myself against a group of people, I'm not going and killing that group of people and all the civilians which that group of people protects. I'm just going after that group of people. I'm not trying to murder anyone and everyone in the area. That's just not what I would do if I was defending myself, you know? So as you can see, this is all just obliterated. This is Zionist self-defense right here. This is what they do when they defend themselves. Let's see. More of how Zionism is defending itself. You know, Hamas must have been here, 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 over here, over here, over there, over here, and over here. That must have been why they blew everything up. I couldn't think of another reason. They're the most moral army in the world. I don't know if you guys forgot or not. But yeah, IDF is the most moral army in the world. So Hamas must have been everywhere when they blew all this up. Yeah, Hamas must have been here, here, over here, in this building. In all these buildings too. Hamas must have just been everywhere. That's why they had to freaking blow everything up. They weren't just trying to kill all the civilians or anything like that. They'd never do that. Not the IDF. They're too morally sound of people. They'd never try to kill civilians. It's unheard of. Hamas had to be in every single building in this whole entire area. This is as far as the eye can see, guys. Just so you kind of get the picture. I usually lose my cool when I'm talking about this, but I'm trying not to. But you guys get the point. You know how many children... Just... Hold on. Let me make this bigger. Let me make this picture bigger. Alright? I want you guys to do something really hard for me, okay? Alright? I want you to take your family, your children, your mother, your father, your grandmother, your grandpa, your nieces, your nephews, okay? And I want you to put them in this building right here, okay? I want you to put your whole family in this building. Okay? I want your whole family in this building. And now I want you to imagine your whole family's in this building, so we're clear. Israel is fighting Hamas members over here in this building. But they level your building with your whole fucking family in it. Your nieces, your nephews, your relatives, because your whole family has to come live with you now because their homes have already been obliterated by Israel. So the survivors of your family are now with you in this building. And now Israel obliterates that building with your family in it. And now you're the last one alive. It's just you now. Because Israel's killed your whole fucking family. And now you're crawling with your arms and your legs are broken. Your legs are shattered. Okay? And you're crawling with your arms onto the street here. Okay? Your whole family's dead in this building, mind you. And you're the only one alive and your legs are broken, so you're crawling. Okay? But remember, they were engaging Hamas over here. So now there's an Armada tank that's rolling down the street. And now you're trying to crawl backwards towards your blown up house with your whole family inside of it. Because you don't want to get run over by the fucking tank. And you just couldn't get out of the way fast enough. You were just that unlucky. And now they crushed your arm. Now your right arm doesn't work. And I know a thing or two about your arm, about an arm not working. And let me tell you something about when your right arm doesn't work. It's really hard to crawl. Now I can't imagine if your legs aren't working, your right arm is now crushed and doesn't work. All you have is your left arm. So now you're about here. The tank just ran you over like you're a piece of fucking garbage. Because they have to go engage these guys over here. So your whole family's dead. There's no one to help you. You're crawling with one arm. All your limbs are broken except your left arm. And now you gotta figure out life. And you gotta hope to God. You gotta pray to your God that maybe one of these white vehicles right here will pull up with some Palestinian aid workers, and they'll maybe come pick up what's left of you. And maybe take you to a hospital that hasn't been bombed yet to treat you. If you're even lucky enough to make it that far, if you're lucky enough to make it this far, you are one of the few God chose to survive this fucking horror show. Okay? Now, let's say you do survive all this shit. Let's say you're in the hospital healing, okay? And now it's been a couple months. You know, they're getting they're trying to figure out how to get your body to work again. And they got you on a bunch of heavy opiates. So now you're going to be addicted to opiates, because that's just what happens, guys. You know, I've already been through this. And now your hospital is getting raided by the IDF. You know, the hospital you're in. Let me show you what those hospitals look like, just in case you don't know. You know, see that? This is a good example. See that bed right there? See that hole right there? Let's say you survived everything I just talked about, and you're on that bed. You know, it can be that bad, guys. It could be that get bad. Imagine surviving all that just for a bomb to come through the roof and kill you. And if this doesn't happen to you, let's say you're fortunate enough for this not to happen to you, and you're one of these guys who are on one of these beds. Now, let's see here. Let's find a picture of what they do to people who are in hospital beds when Israel raids the hospital. Let me see if I can find any pictures that may have made it out of Gaza of what they do. This is what happens. Blast at Gaza hospital kills more than 500. Your whole family died in that original strike. You managed to not get ran over by the tank after both of your legs were crushed. And a Palestinian group of people driving by trying to pull people out of the rubble happened to spot you bleeding out on the side of the road, and they picked you up, carried you to the fucking hospital in their car. And you managed to survive all that just to die to be put under a white tarp after Israel blew up the fucking hospital you were in. You see how hard it is to survive in Gaza for these people? You see why people are saying this is a genocide? Okay? And you guys are probably wondering, you know, why would you use such a fucked up example as a story to compare what can happen to somebody and what has happened to the people of Gaza? Is because I'm really refraying an actual story I saw where this guy had his legs broken, okay, after a bomb went off, and somehow his legs got snapped. And I remember him crawling down the road after his legs got snapped, and I remember him just crawling and crawling and crawling. And I remember these Palestinian aid workers coming and picking the guy up and getting him to a hospital. And odds are that hospital was bombed probably shortly after he got there, you know, within a month of him being there, I'd imagine. So that's where I got that story from. Because it's happened to people. That exact story that I was just telling you has happened to people in Gaza. Guys, it may be across the ocean, but it could be in your backyard soon enough. You think these Zionists care about us Christians? I'm not a Christian. but care about us Christians here in the U.S.? Do you think they're going to treat us any better than they're treating these Palestinians who are, actually a lot of them are Christians? No, they're not going to treat us any better. This Sorry for the pause, I was trying to load that picture. But it's a perfect picture for what I'm about to say. See this picture? Okay. Gosh damn it. Sorry, guys. Alright, I believe these are children. Okay. That have been killed in Gaza. That could be your children, just so you know. If the shoes were on the other feet, man, I want you guys to put your shoes on the other feet, on the other foot. Imagine that's your son or your daughter. That's happening too, you know? It's just unbelievable, guys. Just the level of heartlessness that the United States and Israel have shown to the people of Gaza is, there's no words that I know in the English language that I can use to comprehend how horrible this is. And you would think that a group of people who have been through a genocide wouldn't genocide others. That's what tells me that genocide probably never happened. Because I'll tell you what, these Palestinians will never commit a genocide on another group of people. That will never happen because of what they are going through right now. They will be such a strong, which they're already the strongest people on the face of this earth. But after this, they will be so strong and such good-hearted people that they will never wish what happened to them on anyone else ever for generations to come. That's what tells me the Jews never went through that genocide because they're willing to do this. That's what tells me everything I need to know. You can call me anti-Semitic. You can call me whatever you want. And by the way, guys, you guys know what Semites are, right? Let me just close this presentation with this. Semites are basically Gazans, okay? Palestinians. They're the people from that area. There's no white people from that area. Oh, looks like I was talking too much, and now my internet shut off. That's what happens. Alright, guys, well, you guys take care, and I really just want you to think about what I'm saying. And I want you to think about it. I want you to reconsider your view on what's going on in the Middle East, and especially what's happening to the people of Gaza. And don't forget about Lebanon and the West Bank and Syria as well, because they are also being victimized by this Zionist regime that needs to be extinguished. Have a great day, guys. Goodbye.